I'm Gene Grant, back at the line table with this week's opinion panelists. The Albuquerque Journal reported this week on a new study that shows youth in New Mexico are, quote, off the charts, end quote, for early trauma. The study examined several measures of trauma, including neglect, sexual abuse, family violence, and mental illness and drug abuse. In Merritt, the study focused on teens in the juvenile justice system and found that teens in New Mexico experienced abuse and neglect at a rate 7 times higher than the rest of the country. And that's such a huge number. You know, it's almost shocking when you think about the ball and chain our kids are walking out the front door with at an early age and trying to deal with society as members of society. How did this hit you when you first saw this story?
I was stunned because it hit the same week as the Pull Together campaign launched.
Ah, yes.
And you know, Pull Together is already getting a lot of scrutiny, but as a communications person myself, I'm hopeful by it because it's a call to action campaign.
Right.
And then people are scratching their heads because the same folks who did New Mexico True are doing the Pull Together.
That's right.
And I will say this, New Mexico True worked. And the reason it worked is it delivered on its promise. New Mexico is a unique, cool state. But they also built an organic campaign with buy-in from local municipalities and hospitality industry dying to provide content and make the story real. If that approach were applied to CYFD, it could be really interesting. For me, the question is, can CYFD, with their current resources, with their current staff, can they deliver on the promise of better outcomes for our children?
Right. Because it's pretty lofty.
Right.
What they're saying, what they want to do. It's pretty lofty. Yeah.
And does that mean the field employees are feel valued and are empowered and can actually make tangible differences in families' lives? Are their management making sure they have the resources and support they need? So I think it's good talk. Can you deliver? And then you raise the stakes with these numbers.
Right.
The stakes could not be higher.
Right. Good point there. I like that a lot. Laura, you know, touch on that if you would. You know, it's one thing to understand the traumas that go into a childhood here in New Mexico, but it's another thing to do something about it. Does this do something about it fundamentally? What CYFD is looking to do with this campaign?
Well, I think it's. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at this point. It's very new. I mean, it just got launched. I think it's important that something be done, but I think it's more than just this particular campaign. Early childhood issues, I don't think this is a surprise to anybody, is a huge problem, and this puts, I think, some very specific numbers on it, but it definitely is not just, you know, this one issue with current juvenile. I think it's happened for generations probably here in New Mexico, and so, you know, the students, or the youth that were part of this study, it was in 2011, there was 220 youth who were basically delinquents that were incarcerated in 2011. And of those 220, and I'm a numbers person, so I think this to me was interesting. Out of the 220, 190 were boys and 30 were girls. Of those 190 boys, 20% had reported sexual abuse of some sort in their past. 50% had reported physical abuse, physical violence of some form. And of the girls, and again we're talking about 30 girls, 66% of them reported sexual abuse. 75% reported some kind of physical violence. So we're really just, I mean, it's a very small sample size. I mean, if you consider in general everyone who's a part of the juvenile justice system, but it is just for those who were incarcerated in 2011. But I think it gives us a glimpse into what we're talking about in terms of youth who have suffered some kind of a trauma early in their childhood, and you project that out into the population and even into, you know, current generations that are basically adults now, young adults or even older adults, into what kind of problems they've had along, you know, in their lives, and you see that it's a much bigger problem, and one that we have to put more resources into it. And I think for me, looking at these numbers, you know, the campaign is one step, but I think what would really be helpful is a whole lot more funding for early childhood, like the multiple efforts that there have been at the state legislature for years.
Does this not, I'm going to stay with you, does this not beg for another look about early childhood intervention?
Absolutely.
Do these numbers not just straight out cry out for something?
It does, and for me, you know, the permanent fund, this issue has been very controversial because the idea has been to take a percentage of the permanent fund and put it into early childhood investment. And, you know, this is, the permanent fund's supposed to be used for a rainy day, you know,
Except
it's supposed to be
an education fund. I think that's something that kind of gets lost. I'm not disagreeing with you, but the permanent fund is meant for education, and early childhood education falls under that umbrella. And so when we see the difficulty that kids are having later on in their educational lives and their personal lives, it actually does seem like an appropriate use. I apologize for cutting you off, but I think you're making an important point.
You know, Daniel, to go to Laura's numbers, she loves numbers, I do too. 100% of those boys, those 190 boys, were affected by physical neglect. 100% of those kids that were incarcerated. And that's why I think these numbers are actually a little more interesting than a bigger, broader number, because these are kids that have already fallen out, so to speak. They've fallen through the cracks, and we have a real clear look now at how the skids get greased, so to speak, for kids to go straight downhill. So I asked the same question, is this a big enough issue now? Do we have a serious enough number and study to beg another look at early childhood education, stuff like that?
Not at all.
Why not?
Because as I've said many times at this table, I'm not convinced that early childhood intervention is what fixes it. We're spending more money and there's more programs for early childhood. We have Head Start. We have all these programs that have existed for years and they are not working.
How about this? How about they're not working because they're not addressing what we know now in this study?
Working? I don't think that's actually true.
There's no matrix out there that says Head Start has been an effective return on investment for what the money that's been spent for what they're doing for those children. With the numbers of child poverty is going up, look at what we're doing in New Mexico, the number of kids that are in these problems, the numbers are not declining in New Mexico, and we have been spending. We have been spending as much as some people want, but they have been spending a lot more money on it. So the problem is at the end of the day, we have to get serious about what we're going to do to address these problems. When you look at this specific question that we're talking about with the CYFD campaign, I mean, I'm not sure that I'm a fan of spending $2.7 million to go out and tell people we should all get together and we can make lives better. We should be figuring out ways to get tools to people while the programs that currently exist. And I'll just finish by saying this. Again, I think that this is a systemic problem in government, whether it's local, state, or federal government. Instead of saying, how do we fix this program or how do we start another program, how about taking a real look at the programs that exist and getting rid of the ones that are failing and putting the money to the programs that are working. Instead of this, we're going to cut everything 10% or add everything 10%. If we've got 10 programs and 5 are failing, take that money from those 5 and give it to the 5 that work.
Fair enough, Sophie, if you would. Again, I'm still on this thing. Maybe I'm wrong here, but it just seems to me we're getting into a new era of understanding. Of if you do not want people robbing your mother, your house, your car, whatever in the street later, you better fix it on the front end. Because it's going to cost you a lot more money to fix it when the kid's 19 as it will be when they're 3 or 4.
I'm not sure that this doesn't end up being another one of those blips that we never adequately address. I mean, this is not the first time, maybe not this specific information, but this is not the first time that we've talked about the effect of poverty, the effect of alcoholism and drug abuse in families, the effect of parents who themselves were not parented well, who became parents too young, the lack of sex education. I mean, we can go on and on. These are all conversations that we've been having for at least decades. I can only talk about the ones I've seen in my lifetime, right? For at least decades. And we chip away at it, and we don't see the kind of concerted, focused, not politicized efforts that when we see like this group over here, they did a good job, we're not following those leads, and it just feels to me like we haven't gotten to the point where we're up for that.
Exactly right. Merritt, it's not just the adverse outcomes for kids, it's what happens to these kids when they get older. The heart disease, all kinds of different physical ailments that cost the state money.
Most of these kids has nothing to do with heart disease. They're in prison before.
Well, but here's the point, though, Dan. It costs the state money, but these people become adults and they have all these systemic problems physically because of these issues early on. It ends up costing us anyway.
Well, and I guess I don't object to us putting more money on this issue, but I don't know that early childhood intervention is the answer. I think the answer might be fully staffing CYFD.
Okay.
Caseloads are incredibly high. There's a requirement to see every child a certain number of times per month, and one thing that's not being funded are drivers. There used to be drivers. So now the child
folks could get to a CYFD appointment?
And back, and so now the child advocates in a given day are going from Rio Rancho to Belen to the East Mountains, and that's less amount of time that advocate has with that child.
And here's a big issue too, Gene. Here's a big issue too that we got to look at.
We got about 30
All of this
seconds
stuff is a problem, but we keep going back to we want the family to be held together, and at some point we have to realize some people suck as parents. They're not good, and at some point you got to say the goal isn't how do we make you.
We don't give up on them because of
no, at some point you do, Gene. When you got 8 kids and you've been a horrible parent for 8 kids and it ain't getting any better, at some point giving them the 9th kid or putting it back together again
we
is
have
not
kids getting shipped out of state because we don't have enough foster parents.
Right. Right. Interesting. I want to finish 30 seconds, if you could, we'll go back to this campaign, the 2.7 that Dan mentioned as well from CYFD. And just the idea of a New Mexico True type campaign, is it going to move hearts and souls in your mind? Is this going to be an effective campaign to get people to do something? Is it a call to action, literally?
You know, I think what's different about this is that it's a call to action from this administration and the department itself.
Yeah.
There's been calls to action.
That's right.
Already from advocates, you know, for years, trying to get more, more resources, more attention on this issue. I think, you know, I'm glad that something's being done, but I don't think it's enough.
Yeah,
I
there you
don't
go.
think it's
Please.
One point. I've done a number of campaigns like these on the federal level and a national level. I don't know how I would spend $2.7 million in New Mexico.
I know how you
Not for what I saw.
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
and we talked about it before. I don't think it's the government that's successful at doing this. There are a ton of nonprofits in New Mexico that have shown an unbelievable penchant for success. They've been successful, and we continue to not give them the money that they need, and that's where the money should be going.
That's the last word right there. Later this hour, the line talks about the changes in the Albuquerque Police Department's use of force policy.